Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And this is Ellen Thompson, and I'm here to talk about ChatGPT's impact on multifamily marketing. All right, so first, just a little bit about me. I thought it would be fitting to let you see what ChatGPT 3 thinks that I am. So I got early access to Bing, and once we figured out that I wasn't an actress and I wasn't based in Dallas, ChatGPT summarized my entire professional career and hobbies in 4 sentences, which was very humbling. Probably the most important thing in my life is my son. I don't really talk about him online, but the bottom line is that this is our future. We're defined by what people are going to find us in search and are summarized by ChatGPT. So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a former figure skater, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Respage. So I love to have webinars where you learn something and where you can walk out of here with some new skills. And so here are my goals for the session. I'm hoping that you can walk out of the session and be able to talk intelligently with your friends and peers about conversational AI and what ChatGPT is. I'm going to give you some tools that let you start using ChatGPT to automate creation of marketing text in your multifamily marketing life. I'm also going to introduce you to some other ways that we can use generative AI to create media besides text. And I'm also going to just touch on some of the AI applications that we're using in multifamily that are using conversational AI, but are also using other AI tools because some of them are really exciting. So just to start with a little bit of history, so ChatGPT is really exciting and it's in the news, and I think it's capturing our imagination because it's so powerful. But for us, we've been using conversational AI for a very long time. We released the first AI chatbot that used natural language processing at AIM in 2017. So we think this is a great evolution, but this is a technology that's improved, but it's not new. And the bottom line is, if you're using a chatbot or any kind of AI leasing agent that lets your users type in a question, you're already using conversational AI, which is what ChatGPT is an evolution of. And so how conversational AI works is it uses a technology called natural language processing. And really, conversational AI is an AI that is letting computers mimic how the human brain works. The AI is understanding language, what's being said. So if I type in, do you have a 2-bedroom apartment and what's your pet policy? The AI knows how to interpret that. It's not really reading, but it's looking for those interests or intents. And then what we typically do is we are doing something with that data. We're putting it through a machine learning algorithm. We have to take our domain expertise in multifamily to figure out, in this case, okay, is there a 2-bedroom apartment available? Let's look at the property management software and see what the availability is. Let's see what the pricing is. What's the pet policy? Let's display that. And so we're determining the response. And then we're using natural language generation to give a human-like response in return. So that's a very oversimplified way of how conversational AI works. But again, we're using statistics, a giant AI model, to mimic that how a human would read and write text. So ChatGPT is what's on our mind. And what exactly is ChatGPT? So basically, it is a chatbot that was trained using a huge amount of text. Basically, think everything that you see on the internet post a pre-2021, and it can intelligently understand and generate text. And basically, what ChatGPT is doing is it's using a statistical model to try to figure out what the next word is. So you think about when you're writing text, as you're writing, what should that next word be? So really, that's what ChatGPT is doing. It's basically creating and generating text using a huge data warehouse of knowledge, one word at a time. So then the question is, okay, we have ChatGPT, it's helping us generate text, but how is this going to change multifamily marketing, and how can I use it now? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on ChatGPT. It is a product that was created by OpenAI. It's one of these large language models. There are other companies that provide tools that let you generate text, but we're going to focus on ChatGPT. And after this session, we're going to send you this slide deck, so check your email and you'll be able to click right on the link that's here to start using ChatGPT, and it's really easy. You just click the link and you sign up and you go to a page that looks like this. So there's nothing to install. You just it's free to try, and you can just type a prompt in and send a message to ChatGPT. So it's really easy to use. That said, ChatGPT can be unpredictable. So what I've done is I've used ChatGPT to write some prompts, and I've copied and pasted them into the slide deck to give you some concrete examples of what you can use with ChatGPT right now. So one of the first things that you can do is you can automate the creation of your marketing copy. So one of the things that's really important for your lead generation is your Google business profile. Our SEO customers see about 65% of their organic traffic is coming from their Google business profile. And one of the tools that helps you show up in Google Maps is making sure that your overview, which is 750 characters, really tells the story about your property. And describes all of the features and benefits, like your pet policy and where you are and what your basic amenities are. And so you can prompt ChatGPT to write you a Google business profile. So my prompt asked ChatGPT to write an overview that didn't exceed 750 characters about an actual community. It's one of our customers called Meadowbrook. It's based in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, and it has certain features and certain amenities. So I basically just wrote that prompt really quickly. And as you'll see, literally within less than a second, ChatGPT generated a response that was pretty good and much faster and probably better than I could have done as a draft. So Meadowbrook is a premier apartment community located in Huntington Valley. Our brand new kitchens are sure to impress, while select units boast cozy fireplaces. We welcome pets and offer on-site pool, 9-hole golf course, and tennis courts for your enjoyment. Come experience the lifestyle you deserve at Meadowbrook. So sounds like marketing text, pretty good. But I was interested to see if I could get a different response. So you have the ability to just click a button and basically regenerate that response. And so I got this version. Similar details, but the language is different. You see the last line is come enjoy the serene surroundings and modern amenities of Meadowbrook. And so in practice, if I were a marketing director and trying to write an overview for Meadowbrook, I would probably take some of the better elements of both of these versions and put them together. But the bottom line is I'm probably saving 80 to 90% of my time by generating the prompt, getting a draft, and then putting the draft together. So, very powerful way. You need to understand what's important about your community and what you want to emphasize and write those prompts really well, but then it's going to generate that content for you really quickly. Another use case beyond writing those Google business profiles or romance paragraphs is you can create ad text for use, for example, in a Google Ads campaign, for a search campaign, or your display headlines. So I did a prompt asking to write 4 descriptions for a Google Ads campaign, and then I copied in the information about Meadowbrook, the amenities, and also the features that I wanted to emphasize. And so I got the response back with these 2 responses, and if I go to the next page, I got these 2 additional responses. So those of you who do Google Ads creation know that these are kind of long, that you don't have this kind of number of character count when you're creating those assets. And so sometimes when you're using ChatGPT, you've got to modify your prompt. But again, you're getting this response back almost in real time, and so you just modify your prompt. And so in my case, I said, okay, please write me 4 descriptions that are shorter, and then I copy and pasted that response back in there. And so I got these 4 descriptions, but it's kind of like, Goldilocks. There's just, this is too short. The other one was too long. I need something in the middle. And so my workaround here was, okay, well, let's create 8 descriptions, and then I can use 2 descriptions and put them together, and that could be my pay-per-click ad creation project. So again, what is interesting to me is that ChatGPT didn't really understand what a Google ad specification was. It didn't understand the character counts that well, so it wasn't creating text that I can use just copy and paste, but it was accelerating the process and giving me some different ideas about how to get out of the gate and start creating my ads. Perhaps one of the best uses of ChatGPT is to help with social media. So we have a social media platform, and one of the things our customers talk about is how hard it is to create content day in and day out. So my prompt this time was to ask ChatGPT to help me out, write social media posts about my community, and here are some of the features. And so I got responses back complete with hashtags. And so again, maybe I want to improve these, I need to add an image, but away I went, and I got my social media post back stat. Another way that you can use ChatGPT right away is in some aspects of SEO. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the things that you have to be careful about, and SEO, and making sure that you're overutilizing ChatGPT could be a problem. But one of the things that's really tedious, and is important for your conversion rates, but isn't necessarily part of the algorithm, is the meta description. And for those of you who don't know what a meta description is, when your SEOs are setting up your pages, in the back end, they set up a title tag which describes your page, and the meta description is supporting text that sometimes shows up under the line that you click in the search results. Sometimes it isn't your meta description, but if your keyword is in the keyword that the person searched for is in the meta description, it's going to show that. So it can help you improve your click-through rate, because if you write a great meta description, it kind of just closes people to click on your result. So I asked for a meta description for comehometo.meadowbrook.com, which is the property website for Meadowbrook, and I got the response below. And again, I know enough about SEO. I know that there is a character limit, and a best practices character limit for meta descriptions. This looked awfully long to me, and so I refined my prompt and I said, hey, write a meta description, this time no more than 160 characters. And I got back a description that looked similarly long. So I put this into Word and I did a character count, and it was 238 characters. So again, this helped me begin my journey to create this meta description, but I had to understand what a meta description is. I still have to understand that there's best practice in terms of the number of characters, and you really want your entire meta description to show up in the search results. And so again, this might help me get started, but I would still have to edit it. So we talked a lot about using ChatGPT to generate text, and just to sum up what we've covered, you sign up for OpenAI, you type a prompt into ChatGPT, you can have it regenerate a response, but there are tools beyond ChatGPT. There are a lot of tools. There's a very famous startup accelerator that gives funding to very early stage technology companies. It's called Y Combinator, and 57 of those startups are focused on generative AI, meaning helping computers generate text or other sorts of assets. So I just wanted to point out a couple of other sites for you to take a look at. So first of all, Copy AI and Jasper AI are alternatives in terms of text generation. And so with Copy AI, it does a little bit better job of understanding what the marketing assets are and giving you responses that are going to meet the specifications of those marketing assets. So it's more likely to know that a meta description has to be a certain number of characters. Another really cool site to take a look at is Lately. And what it will do is it will take text or video and it will chop it up into social media post length content. So think about having your apartment community video and it's 2 minutes long. And it's great. You can use that as your social media post once in a while. But what this will do is take those assets and create additional content. So you can create that one video and use it many times. One thing that our customers ask us about is they might have clients and prospects who speak Spanish, or they're coming from Asia and they speak Korean or Japanese. So you also have AI tools that can help you translate text into different languages. And this works really well. And so it's a little bit beyond here, but it also works with programming languages. And so even coders can use ChatGPT and other tools like it to create code. And I think one of the more mind-blowing uses of AI is to create images. So OpenAI has a tool that's called DALL-E, and they're on the second version. And you can type in a prompt, it will create an image for you. And so I have an example of that. This is a prompt that somebody else put in that I found on the internet, and they asked DALL-E to create a photo of a quaint flower shop storefront with a pastel green and clean white facade, an open door, and big windows. And I don't know about you, but what I see on the right looks an awful lot like a store could look. So, I mean, it's kind of amazing. I wouldn't want my kid to go into graphic design right now. We had another customer who wanted a custom chatbot icon, and they sent us a picture of a dog, and we were able to put that picture into an AI generator and create sort of a more cartoon-esque animation version of that dog. So there's just a lot of interesting things that you can do to generate not only text, but also visual assets like images. So ChatGPT is amazing, but with great power comes great responsibility. So just wanted to point out some of the pitfalls that you might want to avoid as you're thinking about how you can integrate ChatGPT into your business life. So as we've seen previously, the content that comes back is not always ready for public consumption. And so when you use ChatGPT or these other tools, it makes sense to proofread the content, make sure it makes sense, make sure it's in your brand voice, make sure it's not too long. So using this content straight away is probably not a good idea. We've seen some of the multifamily suppliers begin to use ChatGPT in their multifamily tech platforms that you're using. And we've been doing generative AI for many years now, and we tested ChatGPT with our review response tool and social media, and we immediately saw that our human team was not using any of the ChatGPT generated responses for the reviews. And so it's just not there yet. If somebody is giving you a 1-star review, that is not a good opportunity to automate your work away. That's where you want to dig in. You want to understand the context. It's not something you can automate away. So ChatGPT is not good to handle sensitive communication. Sorry, humans, we still need to do that. The other thing that's really important to understand is that ChatGPT can introduce risk. So I don't know if you've read stories about this, but there was a New York Times reporter who started having a conversation with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT started to try to tell this person to leave his wife. It was incredibly creepy. You can look this up online. So ChatGPT there's a warning on the screen that says that sometimes it can be insensitive. You really have to be careful with integrating ChatGPT because you just don't know what it's going to say. So that said, most of our tools have models in between ChatGPT, and ChatGPT itself has filters, but you are introducing a risk because you're not sure exactly what ChatGPT is going to say. And another issue that's brewing is copyright infringement. So ChatGPT and all these other large language models, these tools that are learning using the internet as its school, it's taking information that was written and it's taking images that were developed by other people at great cost. So if you're the New York Times or Bloomberg, or you're even a brand like Coach or Patagonia, you've spent time and money developing your brand and your logo and your text. And so when you're asking, say, DALL-E to create an image, and you can ask it to integrate logos, and it's using images it sees online, and you can trigger copyright issues. And so OpenAI is trying to figure out what is the proper way to license information, but it's come out so quickly, and it's improved so quickly, and we're adopting it so quickly that we really don't know where the copyright infringement risk is going to fall. And that's why it's really important to understand what your management team thinks about using ChatGPT. So again, just to talk about uses outside of our industry, there are companies that say you're not allowed to use ChatGPT, and there are other companies that say if you don't start using ChatGPT, you're not going to have a job. And there's a whole country, Italy, that has banned the use of ChatGPT because it doesn't feel like it understands the risk. So it's important to know where your management stands. Is this something they think you should embrace, or is this something that you should wait and see? And one pitfall that I touched on before was SEO. So while it doesn't violate the terms of service to use ChatGPT to write communication and marketing assets that are going to appear on your website, it is a violation of Google's terms of service to use ChatGPT to create content that will manipulate the search results. So best practice here is, if you're writing content for SEO, that you can use ChatGPT to kind of accelerate your process, but then you should have a heavy hand editing that content, because the ChatGPT generated content can be detected. And that's because what it's doing is, again, ChatGPT works by figuring out how to string words together, and it's stringing words that are commonly used together. And so there are algorithms that can look at ChatGPT generated text and identify if all the words are generally put together by a machine versus humans just happen to talk in a different way. So it's great to get out of the gate and write your content, but just don't start writing blog posts and think this is part of your SEO strategy, because what will continue to get the best traffic for SEO is original content that's really helping your users and creating a great experience. So just be careful about overuse of ChatGPT in terms of creating any web assets. Alrighty, so we've talked about conversational AI and using computers to understand and generate text, and we've talked about how that's evolved into ChatGPT, which can really help eliminate 80 to 90% of the time it takes us to generate marketing text. But there is so much going on in multifamily AI that is beyond ChatGPT that I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we're seeing on the horizon. So in the ChatGPT examples, I was creating the prompts, but one of the things that we think is really interesting and that we're dabbling in is using your own data to create prompts. So for instance, something that we launched last month was using the conversations during the leasing process that are happening in chatbots and AI leasing agents to then create prompts to create social media posts. So example, if last week I'm in the Northeast and it's springtime and we're thinking about the pools opening, we're thinking about outdoor space. So if we see prospects asking about balconies or asking about pools, we're automatically creating social media post drafts about pools and about balconies. If people are asking about availability for 2 bedrooms, we're creating social media posts that advertise those 2 bedrooms at the current rate. So what we're seeing is the use of AI and content generation where the prompts are automated. So it's not just that we're going to ChatGPT and we're writing a prompt. How can you use your own data, not all the data on the internet, but how can you use your own data to automate and inform other parts of your marketing? So this is just one example where your CRM or your AI leasing agent is going to be informing your social media post marketing creation. So another thing where you can create prompts for content development is in resident communication. So our survey customers know if their residents are happy or unhappy, and so you can automatically create automated communication, and you can change that communication based on the happiness score. So just triggering custom communication, again, using one platform, surveys, to then just help with, say, renewals. So let's say that it's 120 days before it's time to renew. You can see that someone's happy and you can send them a certain message, and if they're unhappy, you can send them a different message. So these are things that are on the horizon, but the whole idea is how can we create prompts using our own tools, and how can we have our point solutions begin to talk together? And I think a lot of the interesting uses of AI are beyond that conversational AI. So I always like to remind, everybody says, oh, multifamily is so behind using technology. I think that we have some digestion problems in terms of implementing technology, but I also like to point out that our revenue management solutions, that patent is 20 years old. So really sort of the revenue management solutions are AI. You know, we're predicting what rents should be to maximize revenue. That's classic AI. It's 20 years old. So it doesn't have anything to do with, you know, generating language. So some of the things that are also on the horizon is, you know, predicting renewals. So there are several companies that are offering point solutions, and we're working on our own models to understand resident behavior and how happy they are, and to start predicting whether individuals are going to renew or not. And then where that becomes interesting is then how can 60 days in advance you be updating your budgets based on not just your historical performance or what you think the turnover is going to be, but a more refined model that's predicting what your actual turnover is going to be, and adjusting those ad spends. And sometimes that ad spend is going to be turning it off because you realize nobody's leaving in 90 days and everybody's happy, and so you don't need that extra boost. So pointing this out to say ChatGPT is great and it's captured our imagination, but there are a lot of suppliers out there, including us, that are using AI and these statistical models to do things that really can impact revenue beyond just communicating with your residents. So just a little bit of a recap. I'm hoping that I lived up to my promise that you understand a little bit more about conversational AI and ChatGPT. When you get this slideshow, please start using ChatGPT, put a prompt in there, and you know, start creating marketing text. One of the things that's a real challenge with ChatGPT is that people are downloading ChatGPT and they're trying it and they're kind of abandoning it. I think this is something that really you can, if you can look for ways to use it, it can save you a lot of time. It can make you look really smart in your organization. Now you also know that there are ways to generate images and video clips. So, go try some of those other AI tools. They're free to try. And also just, the ChatGPT is what we're talking about, but there is an acceleration of the use of AI in multifamily. And a lot of the solutions are blending conversational AI with other AI tools like predictive analytics to solve real problems. And we get asked all the time, like, do you use ChatGPT? And the reality situation is what we're providing as suppliers in multifamily is an enterprise solution. And so ChatGPT is a model, and you can license that to generate the language. But what we really have to do is we have to understand your data, not just the data that's on the internet. So the internet is helping ChatGPT understand how to answer questions, but we have to understand what are the problems that are solved. So example, we know that the problem is that people are going to ask about a 2-bedroom apartment. So we have to build integrations with your property management software. We know people are going to want to schedule tours, and you're going to want to automate that. We need to build integrations with your CRMs. And we want to write this data back and forth. So the solutions that we're providing as multifamily suppliers of AI are using tools like ChatGPT, but we're also developing our own models on top of this to understand the questions that are being asked by, in a particular use case, like leasing, like your, resident requests. And then we're building those integrations to make sure that your systems are giving us information, and then we're pushing information back into your systems so that you can continue working in those CRMs and those property management software solutions that you're used to. So that is my presentation. What I'd like to offer is, it's the Atlanta Apartment Association today, so we are probably going to do an encore presentation of this slideshow. But if you would like to send me a note, I would be happy to run through this with your team or your board. And with that, we're about 3 minutes before the half hour. I'd love to answer questions, and I'll stick around as long as there are questions to answer. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ellen. We do have a couple questions in the question tab here. And if anybody wants to stick around and ask questions, feel free to drop those in the questions tab on the control panel there. But I will get into the first question. So Ellen, this first question is, what's the difference between an AI leasing assistant and ChatGPT?
So, an AI leasing assistant is an enterprise level system that's been developed to use your data, your property management software data that's in your CRM, and that's been trained to answer a specific set of questions around the leasing process. So ChatGPT is, it's basically the utility that we're purchasing to help our solutions understand and write language, so that, when we turn on the lights in our apartments, we are using electricity, but we're not thinking about it. So really, ChatGPT is this utility that we're licensing to then use in our applications. And on top of ChatGPT, we have to develop our own models to solve smaller problems that are particular to multifamily and build those integrations into your solutions. So ChatGPT is kind of like the electricity, and then we have to make, we have to make the lamps work.
Thank you, Ellen. Our next question is, how does your AI know what topics to write about for AI social posts?
So what the approach that we're taking, and there are probably going to be some other interesting ways to automate prompts for social media posts, but when we have customers who are using our chatbot, our AI leasing, our AI is not reading, but it's pulling out the interests or intents. And so we know that people are asking about availability or fees or whether it's smoke-free. And so what we're doing is on a weekly basis, looking at what intents were expressed the most that week. And then when we know what your images look like, we know what your amenities look like, we understand what your amenities are, and we can use conversational AI to develop the posts from there. But we're getting the inputs from the actual questions that people are asking through the chatbot and through the email, phone, or text communications of our AI bots.
Interesting. Our next question comes from Tim. Have you reviewed Google's Bard with Google Ads and SEO creation?
I have not reviewed Google's Bards because the reviews that we've heard is that it's not quite there, and Google is really saying that it's kind of slowing down Bard. because they're not sure that it's not introducing ethical concerns. But the point that is to be taken is that this is very early in the acceleration of these conversational AI platforms and large language models. There's Bard, there's Llama, there's from Meta, there are a bunch of other technology providers. So there are probably dozens of large language models. I am very lucky to have a team that gets to play around and test all of these tools. We've been using OpenAI as a supplier for a long time, so we haven't decided to go in a different direction. But I think it's a good point that if you're gonna choose a tool, you should evaluate multiple ones and pick the one that works for you. Okay, thanks, Lindsay, for moderating the questions, and thanks for everybody who stuck around. Really appreciate this chance to introduce you to ChatGPT, and if there's anything that I can do to help you familiarize your staff with ChatGPT or run this presentation again, please email me, and I'm happy to do that.